Okay. My intention is to give an overview of the whole event layout, the entire day, start to finish, what we're expecting. And we're going to look at every single volunteer function, just in case you need to step in and fill in a gap somewhere, but mostly so you can know what everyone is doing throughout the day and just set your expectations. And then if you have any questions at all, please feel free, unmute yourself, ask a question. This is interactive, but obviously I'll be asking throughout if I've made everything clear, if you have any questions as we go. So the first thing we have here is our event map. So you can see here, we've got some color-coded things happening, and we can talk about parking spaces and locations, but I want to orient you first. So this is Main Street, and this is Broadway down here. So we're looking at 2nd and Idaho. So the majority of the vendors are on Idaho, with some being on 2nd. Mostly food vendors are this portion of 2nd, and food vendors are down here as well. This is the Roosevelt and Frontier Club. This is 127 Saloon. This is 830 Common. This is Generations Plaza stage. We will have 2 different band performances at that stage beginning at 11 a.m. And this is the main stage sponsored by the Vault, and we will have 2 bands performing in that location, I think beginning at 1 p.m. Right here in booth number 29 is where our radio station is going to be housed the majority of the day. And right in the middle of our event center is where all of the activities and contests are going to happen. So it is supposed to be an awesome 72 degrees high that day, which is perfect weather, not too hot, not too cold. But if you're an early shift or a late shift, you're probably going to want to bring a jacket, bring something warm, because it will cool down. Parking for the event crew. On the next slide, I'll go over in a little bit more detail, but it's going to be in these general areas. We've got event crew parking here off of Idaho. It's not Avenue. What is that? That's like a little alley. And Broadway and 3rd behind the Valley Regional Transit building. When you get to the event, the first thing you're going to do is go and check in at the information booth, or at least in that general location. So those of us who have a 6 a.m. start shift, the booth won't be set up yet, but you can come and there will be people there. You're going to get a token, and that token you're going to take over to the t-shirt vendor, and you're going to get your t-shirt. So that's sort of step 1, so that we set ourselves apart and people know who the volunteers are because we're wearing our volunteer t-shirts. So you'll go to booth 16, you'll get your t-shirt. If you want to just pull the t-shirt over something, be sure that you wear something that you can just pull it over, or you can go and change in a bathroom and put the t-shirt on. Each volunteer will receive a staff sheet. My intention is to have personalized staff sheets for each volunteer, so you know exactly what your function and your responsibility is throughout the day. This is a more detailed look at the map. So these are the parking areas here on Broadway. Broadway will be closed from 3rd Street to Frontier Club. So our during load-in, we will have people sort of moving the gates to let vendors in and let volunteers in. If your shift begins after 8 a.m., you need to come in off of 3rd Street and park in this parking area. You'll come in this little driveway here, and you'll park in this parking area here, or someplace else. But this is your main parking location if you begin after 8 a.m. This is Brigade Screen Printing right here. They are going to be the very first vendor at the corner of Idaho and Maine. And it's a very large truck. You can't miss it. So that's where you're going to go to get your t-shirts. This is where the chamber booth and information booth is going to be. So this is where you go and check in right here. This is the community center right here. So chamber booth will be the first booth on the corner at 2nd and Idaho. Okay, Vendor management. If you are working vendor management with me, our primary responsibility is to be traffic control. There will be a person stationed at each of the main entrances at Pine, at Third, and at Broadway. We are not allowing anybody to load in through Main. They can exit through Main, but they load in one of these three areas, and that is designated on their vendor map. You can see here that things are color coded. If they are red, that means they're coming in on Friday night, which makes everyone's life really, really easy. If they're yellow, they're the first load-in group. That's at 6:30 a.m. Blue starts at 7. Green starts at 7:30, and purple starts at 8. So we've staggered it to try and reduce the traffic congestion so that it's a safe and easily accessible pathway for everyone to get in when they want to load in. Some vendors are going to say, I don't need 3 hours. I don't need 2 hours. I just want to go and set it up. Great, no problem. Go in, set your stuff up. Once you're done, feel free to go and get breakfast somewhere, go get a cup of coffee. We have security. We've got our staff there. They're okay to walk away from their booth prior to the event starting. I'd say make sure they're back by 9:30 a.m. if anybody asks. So we will be positioned at one of the main entry points, and you will have your vendor map, and you'll have a printout of exactly the detail for every single vendor, and it'll be color coded as well as sorted by booth number. We will ask our guests, our vendors, to go directly to their booth location, offload everything, and then move their vehicle. We don't really want them to leave their vehicles there and like try and set things up while fetching things from the car. The best practice is going to be unload everything, go and move your vehicle, and then come back and get your booth all set up. And that will just help with traffic flow. And if you're checking in vendors, please mark them off your list as they check in. And it is very important that we don't offer to help lift or move anything. It's really a liability situation. If you were to pick up some of their precious, delicate stuff and accidentally trip or break something, we're going to be liable for that. So we are just to be traffic controls and traffic directors for the vendor check-in process. Any questions so far? Okay. This is what the spreadsheet looks like. All of the vendors have received this. If you are on the vendor management team, you should have received an email from me last night with all of this information in it. This will be printed out for you when you come to check in. Okay, guest services. If you are working guest services, you are sort of serving multiple functions. You're the volunteer check-in, you're the information booth, and you're also housing the first aid station. So we will have a couple of EMTs on site with our staff at the information booth. They'll just be in there with you. You make new friends. Cheryl, I'm sure you're probably going to appreciate that. You always love meeting new people. So every volunteer should be given the following. They're going to get a token for their t-shirt. Give them direction on where to go and get their t-shirt. They will get their staff sheet, which my intention is to have a customized staff sheet for every single volunteer so they know exactly their role and responsibility for the day, as well as an event schedule with the timing for all of the activities. And if they are assigned to set up or take down crew, I will ask you at the info booth to please show them where everything is. It will be staged sort of leaning against the community center wall. We will have tables and chairs and some supplies and things. And this is where our setup crew will be going to get tables and chairs when they're going to set up a competition in the middle of the Oktoberfest square. And for the info booth workers, you might be asked to help with setup just because we are very light on volunteers. So I might ask you to go and help with setting up tables and chairs and putting tablecloths on should that happen. But I will know by the day of the event exactly what it is I need you to help with. Okay, more guest services. So registering contestants. When our activities staff shows up, they're going to be given a clipboard with this handout on it. This is how we get our contestants signed up for the activities. They will scan the QR code. It will take them to a screen where they just register themselves for the activity. There are caps on how many people we can have for each activity. So for example, the youth strudel eating contest, we can't have more than 20. For the adult strudel eating, we can't have more than 15. but that will be listed on your sheet, so you don't have to memorize that. We do want people to understand that the first 15 that sign up are going to get the opportunity to compete. They will receive an email that confirms that they are registered for the competition. So tell them to check their emails. So at the information booth, you will have the opportunity to sign people up, as well as all of our volunteers who are out walking through the event, getting folks signed up and excited about the activities. You can see here the counts on each of the activities, and I will be asking you to approve the volunteers, or the contestants. So let me show you what that looks like. The way this system works is it doesn't allow us to put a cap on how many people can apply to be in the competition. So it will be up to us to continually monitor how many people have signed up and then send that little approval email. I'll have iPads set up for you at the information booth where you will be able to easily navigate to the submissions list. You can approve our contestants. You can see here what that looks like. And then we will be keeping track of, oops, what happened? We will be keeping track of, where do we go? Here we go. Of how many people have been approved in the analytics section. So submission list is where you approve the contestants. Analytics, we can see how many people have been approved for each of the contests. So we will make sure that only 15 can compete for like the brat eating contest, because we only have a specific number of plates of food that we're going to go and get and bring out to the table. Any questions on that so far? Cool. All right. Keep going here. I don't know why it keeps launching me out of my presentation in Canva. What is happening here? That is the weirdest thing. So, come on now. I don't have a Loom in here. It keeps wanting to go to Loom. I'm sorry about that, guys. Technical glitches. So we are here. Now we'll go back into present. Oh, we'll just keep on moving along then. Okay, activities management. So this team is really going to help get hype around our contests and our competitions. They are going to pick up their clipboard with all of the scans, the QR codes. Can you all still see my screen? It just is glitching out like crazy over here for me. Can you see that?
I can still see it.
Okay, what a really weird thing is happening. I can't understand it. Okay, we're just gonna keep rolling along like this then. Okay, so you're going to be walking the crowds, engaging with event goers, encouraging them to sign up for the different contests. Now, your schedule is really blocked around certain competitions that you're going to be helping manage the actual activity. But people can sign up for anything. So if you are on the early afternoon shift and you're really focused on the youth strudel eating competition and the costume contest, you can still also sign up people for the brat eating contest or give them information about the stein holding competition. So to sign up, they'll do the QR code, but the keg toss and stein hold signups are not QR codes. So keg toss, I'll get into that when I get to that actual slide. Every winner is going to get a trophy and a gift card. So you can let them know. $50 gift card and the trophy. Okay, strudel eating contest. There's two of them, youth and adult, and really the main difference is the size of the strudel. The adult one, it's like this big, and the kid one, it's like this big. And it's really who can eat it fastest. So your function is to sign up and register contestants. Then you're going to organize the check-in for contestants at the show. So what that means is when we are in the events area and the tables are set up and we've got our competitors lined up saying, yep, I signed up for the competition, we want to make sure they receive that email that confirmed that they are part of this particular contest. So when at the info booth, they have approved the competitor, the contestant, they'll get an email confirming that they've been approved. This is the email that we wanted them to show us on their phone when they come to the competition. When we're setting up the activities, we're going to be bringing out 5 tables. We're going to put on tablecloths. We're going to put chairs at every table, and then a cup of water at every place, and then the plate of food at every place, as well as an apron. Each competitor gets a silly little apron that makes them look like they're wearing a dirndl, the traditional Oktoberfest made costume. And so they will, you'll guide them to their chair, help them put their apron on, have them seated, and the person who's announcing the rules of the competition will ask everyone, hands on table, ready, set, begin. And then they get to start eating their food and drinking water, and the first one to finish with an empty mouth and an empty plate is the winner. Any questions so far? Okay, good. Keep on going in non-presentation mode because that is glitching. Costume contest. This is for anyone and everyone. We want you finding kids that are dressed up, finding adults that are dressed up, and encouraging them to come to the Oktoberfest Square at 1 o'clock for the costume competition. They'll be announcing this over the loudspeakers. The radio station will be talking about it throughout the morning. But we really want to find those kids that are dressed up really cute. So when you're out there interacting with our guests, just be like, oh my gosh, I love your costume. Please be in the competition. We want to get as many people out there for it as possible. Keg toss. Okay, this again is an anyone can play game, but you do need to be strong enough to pick up a keg. The kegs, I don't believe are full. I'm pretty sure they're empty kegs. And that is from 4 to 5 p.m. Sign-ups will be at the info booth up until 3. At 3 p.m., we're going to set up the table near the keg toss area, and there will be a sign-up sheet. So we'll transfer the sign-up sheet from the info booth over to the keg toss area, which is near the main stage. And it's very simple. They write down their name, their email address, they get a flag. They write their name on the flag. They hand one of our volunteers the flag. The volunteer goes to the other side of the field. They throw their keg. Our volunteer marks the flag where their keg landed, the farthest part of the keg where it landed. And so we just will have a field full of marked flags. And ultimately, whoever's flag is the farthest one away from the toss line is the winner. The competition will last for an hour, 1 toss at a time. We want to get in as many people as possible. So encourage people to come and sign up at the info booth or beginning at 3 p.m. over at the keg toss area.
Are we doing name or email?
I am
or sorry, phone
that
number or
on the
email.
information sheet, they will give their name and their email address, because if for some reason they have to like leave or we can't find them, we can email them and tell them that they won. Does that sound okay, Grace?
Is that just because it's easier to email instead of like text, because we can't text through EventNe? Is that why?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I get you. Just checking.
Okay, and ideally we're only going to send 1 email to the winner.
Right.
Okay. Okay, beer pong. Beer pong is going to be a tournament style game. We can only have 16 contestants. So this is one that they have to scan the QR code, sign up online, and then we will approve the people who can compete in this game. We're going to set up 4 beer pong tables. So the setup on this one is a little volunteer heavy. We got to get those 4 tables out there. We got to get all the cups set up, and we're just going to fill the cups with water. There's going to be 2 people at each side of the table. So we've got 8 teams of 2. And then there will be somebody that'll be like making the announcements and talking through the rules of the game. But when we're checking people in, we want to see that their email, that they got their approved email, that they're going to compete in this game. And then we just get them into the position until we have all 16 competitors in place. And then the competition will begin. I'm told it might go 45 minutes to an hour. we need to stick around because the balls will be flying and we got to sort of like fetch balls and corral things and make sure that the crowds aren't closing in on people. So our job really is to make sure that it's an exciting, fun activity for our competitors and fetch balls as they fly away.
Quick question on that.
Yeah.
So when the cups are taken away, like, do we dump them out or do we try and maintain the water for the next round?
We won't need to keep it for the, oh, that's a good question. I will have an answer for you the day of the event.
Awesome, thank you.
I think you're right. We probably do need to keep the water in the cups, or maybe we might be able to just fill up because it will narrow it down to 2 tables eventually. But yeah, we'll probably have some pitchers with water in case water spills out or whatever. But yeah, good call on that. Okay, brat eating contest. We want people to be 18 and older to do this. It's a lot. There are going to be 5 brats and a half a pound of sauerkraut. It's a big plate of food. So we want to make sure we've got full-grown people who can handle that much food. I really don't want to see reversals of fortune on this one, but we will be prepared with a bodily fluid cleanup kit should that happen. The first 15 to register will get to compete. The setup for this event is going to be a little bit more difficult because we have to go and get the food. One of our vendors is making all of the plates of brats and sauerkraut. So I'm going to need a little army of people to, at 6:20, go down to Tipsy Chef, get all the plates of food, bring them to the tables. We also have somebody who needs to be setting up the tables, putting the tablecloths on the tables, working with the competitors, making sure that they got the approved email, that they've got an apron to put on, get them into their seats, and then we've got a team of people bringing the food. So until all the food is there and everyone is seated with their aprons on, hands on table, we can't begin. So it's going to be at 6:20, that food is ready. We want to go and get it and bring it to the tables. The competition begins at 6:30. So that one will be like a little bit more fast paced if you're signed up for that period for activities management. Let me see, and always cups of water because we don't want anybody to choke. Tipsy Chef is down here. So this is the main event activity area. We have to have our food runners come down the street to Tipsy Chef right here and pick up those plates of brats and bring them back down and put them on the tables. Okay. Stein holding competition. This one is going to be very fun. We can have up to 90 contestants in this one, but we need to control the crowd. So the way it will work is beginning at 5 p.m., anybody can go to the information booth and get their chip, their token. It's a special token that will allow them to get their stein that's full of beer when we open the line. So they have to have a wristband, so they have to have been wristbanded to confirm that they're 21. They can take that token. We can tell them that they can go and get in line beginning at 6:45. So we will have the tables lined up against the community center wall facing 2nd Street. So it'll be behind the info booth. We'll have probably 2 or 3 tables set up. And then the volunteers are going to go get pitchers filled with beer from Loose Screw. I'll show you where that is in a second. And then we're going to go over to the tables and we're going to fill the steins. And they all need to be filled to the same level. So it's a fair competition. So everyone is holding a stein out in front of them that's the same weight, the same full. Okay. So those will be lined up on the table. We're going to have that stanchioned off. And then there's a line that's going to be created that goes down 2nd Street, down by Unbound, across Unbound towards the Compass and Valley Regional Transit building down towards Broadway. So then at 7:10, we're going to open the stanchion and we will be collecting their tokens and they can walk through, grab their beer, and we're going to funnel them out into the competition square. So first I'm going to show you Loose Screw is right here. So right here is the info booth. This is the community center. We will have tables with the beer steins filled right here. The line is going to continue down the street this way. We'll open the stanchions. We'll guide our guests to come here into the center square of the arena for the competition. And you can see here, this is sort of what happened last year. There were not as many competitors last year, so there's going to be probably twice as many people this year. We want them to form a giant circle. So as crowd control, we're sort of guiding them, okay, spread down, move out, go out, keep going around, everybody back up, make more room, right? So we're trying to get them to be all in a giant circle. So when they all hold out their beer stein, it's in front of them and all the beer steins are in the middle of the circle. Also, your responsibility as a volunteer for this activity is to make sure they're adhering to the standards of the competition. So they have to have a straight arm out in front of them. They can't have their thumb up on the handle. They can't have their pinky on the mug, right? None of this. It's a pure fist grab of the handle, okay? And they can't like lean, and they can't like lean back or lean forward. You're gonna tap them out. If they are out of compliance on their posture, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm sorry, you're disqualified, and they gotta go. This is gonna take up to 30 minutes. Last year, I think the person who won, it was like 30 minutes. Was that right, Cheryl? Were you there? It was maybe more, oh my word. So this one's gonna go on for a while. So I really just laid out the details here. At 7:10, we open the line. They have to give us a token. One thing that might happen is if we've only passed out 60 tokens, let's say people have come and gotten 60 tokens. So we've got 30 tokens remaining and we've got more beer steins. We don't fill steins for tokens that we haven't given away. So we're keeping track of how many tokens we gave away. We're going to fill 60 beer steins. Well, if all of a sudden people are like, oh, I want to do it at the very last minute, we need to make sure they have the wristband, they need to get a token, and they're going to have to go over to Loose Screw and get their stein filled to get out into that space fast enough by 7:18. We aren't going to go and fill more mugs for them, but Loose Screw is aware that they might have some last minute stragglers. They're going to create a special line for the stein holding competition right around that time so they can get those filled quickly and get people over into the competition if we haven't given out all 90 tokens. Does that make sense? Okay, cool.
Hey, Marlene.
Yeah, go ahead.
We just got a notification from Mike that we're gonna be able to do 120 people now. He's got enough for that.
Even better. Okay.
Yep.
All right, I will update the website and the training docs so that and you've got all the tokens, Lauren?
Yep, we've got them all. We got some out of storage too, so we've got extras. So just in case. And we've got to leave for a ribbon cutting soon at 1, so you might see us falling off. But we've got all of the training packet and we'll go through it together too as well. So
Perfect. Sounds great. Thank you. We want to make sure to tell people don't drink your beer because that's cheating. Because then if they have less beer in their mug, it's not as heavy as everyone else's. There's what the token is going to look like. Perfect. So that's the token we're going to collect from them for the competition, and then they get their stein full of beer. Okay, I'm going to review the competition rules just really quickly because you will be tapping people out if you see them fall out of compliance, but these rules will be announced. They will be announced by our MC for the event, and you won't be the only one holding them accountable. So it'll be fun, it'll be silly. We don't have to be like super rigid about it, but they do need to have a non-bent elbow. That's really important. Non-bent elbow and no thumb and no pinky on that mug. I'm going to say that's the biggest thing that we're looking for. And we can harass people like, oh, straighten those legs, get that back straight. Oh, don't drop your arm, don't drop your elbow. But the actual rules are, like limited arching of the back is permitted. However, only minimal leaning is acceptable. And they've got to be on the vertical plane with the competitor's elbow, never crossing behind the back or ankle with either foot. Armpit must never cross in front of the hips or toes. Like they can't start leaning like that. And so basically the beer stein just needs to be right out in front of them with a unbent elbow. And last but not least, this is the last slide. This is the schedule that I have drawn up so far. I have Kim in red because I am sort of working with a unique schedule for her. She's got some limited time slots because she is with the radio station and will also be working. So please take a look at this. If you see any issue with it, let me know right away. Like I said, we're light on volunteers. I definitely need a couple of more people at the back half of the day. So if there's anything else you can do to contribute in the day, I'd be happy to take it. Or if you know anybody else that might like to volunteer, please send them my way. But this is all I have for you right now. Do you have any questions at all?
I don't have any questions, Marlene. A couple of comments. I signed up from the 11 to 3. Generally, I come a little early and I stay a little later. If I'm able to do that, I will help out wherever is needed. The other thing on the Stein holding thing, whoever does it's not the judging, but whoever taps them out. I had to do that last year. It was not fun. Only because people get very competitive. They've already been drinking all day. They're watching other people and they're trying to figure out why the judges didn't tap them out when their elbows bent or, so I would have a lot of people doing that as opposed to just 1 or 2. I think there was 2 of us and it was difficult.
Oh, thank you for that heads up. I think that's really important feedback. My goal was to have 8 people working this competition. Right now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got 5. But I can include Lauren and Grace, 6, 7, and probably get Sean on board for this 8. I just think that because it's going to be even more people than last year, this is going to be a serious crowd management opportunity. It is going to be a little rowdy, I'm sure. So I'm glad that you offered your perspective of people not being too pleased with being tapped out last year. So be aware. Jenny, that's you. You are on board for a Stein holding competition. Oh, my word. All right. That is all I have for you. And my most sincere gratitude. Because of you, we are going to be able to make this day really, really fun for our event goers and our guests, and help our vendors have a nice, easy, hopefully enjoyable load in, load out process. But I am thankful and I am looking forward to seeing all of you on Saturday. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks again. And if you have any questions, you know where to find me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.